Back in October 2020, we were getting geared up for SpeedWeek, and we got a call from Ferrari saying, we've got some of our cars coming, do you want to drive them? Now, the trouble with this is it was the day before the event, and ordinarily, the day before an event, we are knee-deep in organising photo shoots, interviews, we've got our faces at our screens. So normally we have to say no, we can't do anything the day before an event. So naturally, we did the only thing that was sensible and we shredded our diaries. The day began in the cold, dark depths of 6:30 AM on a Thursday morning, and my colleague Ben had a bag full of Ferrari keys, and the one he threw me was for the F8 Spider. The F8 Spider is the folding hardtop convertible version of the F8 Tributo, which can trace its roots back to the 458 Italia. A lot has changed since then, but that is where it started. 458, then 488, then F8 Tributo. Headline figures: 720 horsepower at 7,000 RPM, 770 Nm of torque at 3,250 RPM, 0 to 62 miles an hour, 2.9 seconds, and a top speed of 211 miles an hour. All of that power comes courtesy of a 3.9 litre twin turbo V8. It's essentially the engine that was in the 488 Pista, but tuned slightly differently to make it a little less leery. A little bit less leery. First impressions, this might be a mid-engine Ferrari, and this one might have been left-hand drive, but to just get in and drive 6:30 in the morning when frankly I needed coffee, it was just very, very easy. Supercars 20, 30 years ago, they weren't so easy to drive. They were probably difficult to see out of, not particularly comfortable. They were very good at going quickly, but not necessarily very good at just using as a car. But that's one of the joys of modern supercars. They're a lot easier to just jump in and drive. You hit the red starter button on the steering wheel, the engine fires up. A cold start on an F8 Spider is quite tasty. And within a few seconds, you've got the radio on, it's in gear, you're driving, you're moving. It's just very, very simple, and visibility is very good. And then you come to put your foot down for the first time, and you're given a pretty savage reminder of how quick the F8 Spider is. To say it's quick would be a massive understatement, frankly, because it takes a real conscious effort not to break the speed limit. Like a McLaren 720S, you're doing 60 miles an hour so quickly. It takes real will not to stretch beyond that. The noise, for me, that was the disappointment, because roof up or roof down, as savage and as good as the engine is to use, the sound isn't that great. There are lots of reasons for that. In part, it's because it's turbocharged, like the 488, so it's naturally a bit quieter. But also there are lots of boring emissions regulation stuff, which is why it's quieter, and Ferrari have tried to do their best, but it's still not a particularly exciting noise for me. For me, what really hammered that home was that we also had an 812 GTS with us. And when that comes past and it's revving up to 8,900 RPM, naturally aspirated 6.5 litre V12, that sings. The F8 Spider doesn't really sing. That said, what I do like is that Ferrari lets you drop the little glass screen behind your head, so you do get a little bit closer to the engine noise. Elsewhere, everything else about the car is extremely accomplished. It's got lots of grip, the brakes are monumentally powerful, the traction and stability controls never feel like they're holding you back, the steering is fast without being twitchy or making the car feel nervous, and the 7-speed dual clutch gearbox is ferocious, and it does exactly what you want it to do when you want it. What don't I like? Well, I think what irks me the most is that an F8 Spider, to start off with, is £225,000. And if you want to spend £5,500 extra on a carbon fibre engine manifold, be my guest, knock yourself out. But £800 for parking sensors, or £1,500 for a reversing camera, or the best one, £2,400 for Apple CarPlay. Surely if you're spending £225,000, Apple CarPlay should come as standard. Finally, this being the F8 Spider, you get to put the roof down. You can do it up to 45 kilometers an hour, so that's about 28 miles an hour, and it takes around 14 seconds. And once we'd finished with all the filming, I had to get back to the reality of SpeedWeek. I had to drive from where we were filming about 20 minutes back to Goodwood. And it was on one of my favourite bits of roads that I know very well, and it was just on my own, and I had the roof down. It will sound cliched, but it was just a really nice experience. I know we get to drive a lot of cool cars, we get to be around cars all the time, but there's something still oddly special about being in a Ferrari and driving a Ferrari. I know it sounds cliched, but it was a drive that I won't be forgetting for quite a long time.